Hi there. I'm afraid I'll be doing the show on my own this week because Annie's off at a school trip. But Darren's asked me to help him with a very important job down at Pets Corner, and all he said was to bring a set of scales. I wonder what we'll be doing. So let's find out in this week's edition of Junior Rangers. Oh, hi Darren.
Hi Joe, all right?
Yeah, great. I brought the scales.
Brilliant, you're going to need them. We've got a very important job to do today, and it's for some animals over here. You ready?
Yeah, sure, let's go.
Come and see. Ah, here we go, Joe. Very special animals. Some of the oldest animals we have. Some of the longest lived animals. You all right there?
Yeah.
And you are now in the tortoise pen. So Joe, very nice of you to bring a set of scales. They're very important to us for the job we're going to do, but I think your mum can have them back in the kitchen for her cooking. We've got some very special digital scales here, so pop them down there just for now. What we're going to do today with your help is we're going to weigh the tortoises, and it's a very important thing about keeping animal records, and it's how we can tell, for instance, how healthy the animal is, whether they're eating, and also how old they are. We can keep track of their age with good records. So if we start straight away...
So, the job of looking after the tortoises is much more complicated than I thought. Darren's records can help tell the health and age of the tortoises, and weighing them regularly is an important part of this.
This is Julie the tortoise, and ta-da, her feet are clear, she's not touching. 2,000 grams.
How can you tell that it's Julie?
What we do is we put a little mark, a number on the tortoise shell. Now, ideally you don't want to put anything on the tortoise shell at all because this has got lots and lots of little holes in. It's a bit like a tea bag, and it's to help them soak up the sun. They get all their heat from outside. So you don't want to put any on really, but a tiny bit like that we find doesn't really do them any harm.
So how do you judge the age of a tortoise?
You're probably aware of trees, and on the way trees get an extra growth ring nearly every year.
Yeah.
Well, tortoises do exactly the same. And if they have a growth spurt or a hibernation, because some of these will rest for the whole winter and save energy and not worry about looking for food, they get a new growth ring. Well, if you look at a tortoise shell very carefully, sometimes, especially if they're very young, you can actually tell how many growth spurts they've had and how many hibernations, and you can count the rings. So in a roundabout fashion, people used to think you can actually age a tortoise just by counting the rings. Have a go, try and count those rings.
Okay.
I think you could be there a long time.
Wobbly lines, there's no circles.
Right, well what actually happens is, you imagine Julie here, she lives outside in the wind and the rain and the sun,
Yeah.
and she's probably very, very, very old. So she's a bit like a stone or a pebble out in all the weather, and these rings actually will wear after a period of time, and so they all sort of blend into one. Can you see, look?
It wears away.
They wear away. You know, they're bumping into things, they get rained on, they get the wind. So it's very, very difficult. If they're very young or you know, very clear shell, you can get a rough idea. So you need other ways to age them, and the best way really is with accurate records. You know when she was hatched. If you know when she was hatched, you can always keep a record every birthday, and we weigh them every couple of weeks, and we measure them, check how they're growing.
Do you know how old this one is?
Yeah, we'd check the record card, but I mean, just looking at it, you know she's an older tortoise, don't you, straight away, because look at the wear and tear on here. So how else do you think we could age animals? If we had something that couldn't talk to you, you can think of things like teeth and antlers, and they grow depending on how old the animal is. What about something like a snake? How old do you think, how can you tell how old a snake is?
Its length.
Fantastic, well done. That's exactly right. So you can look at an animal's size and the way it grows.
So, there are various ways to estimate how old an animal is, but keeping accurate records is the best method. So, we'll carry on with weighing the tortoises.
Brilliant, Joe, thank you. Now this is a very, very special tortoise. This is a different type to the ones you've seen earlier and just weighed.
Is that because it's got a wheel?
Well, how you've noticed straight away, it has got a wheel. She's called Winky Wheelie, and she's very, very special to us. Look at her shell, and if I ask you to count her rings,
I would say no.
no, it's impossible, isn't it? So aging this tortoise by counting rings, or even by size, is very difficult. So our records tell us that, yes, we know how old she is, but not by her rings, not by her size. We need the accurate records for her. We need to know when she was first brought into this country and how big she was then. And looking at this weather-worn and shell-worn, she's had a rough life. You know, she's probably been very much loved.
How did she lose her foot?
Well, maybe she's lost a fight, I would think, with perhaps a badger or a dog. That's how she's lost her foot. So, you know, with lots of TLC, she's now very healthy and she races around with this wheel. It's lovely. But aging her was very, very, very difficult because there's no obvious signs. She hasn't got teeth. I can't count how many teeth she's got to age her.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Indeed, well done, because actually when you're looking at animals, you need to take into consideration lots and lots of different things. As I said, the growth, the weight, accurate record.
So, Winky Wheelie has had quite a hard life, but now she's being well cared for in Longleats Pets Corner.
So that's all the tortoises down here, Joe. Thanks for your help with that. But there are other tortoises here at Longleat. So if you can grab a notebook, you can go up in the safari park and see if you can find those for me.
Okay, I'll be on.
Well, I'll head off up to the safari park to check up on the other tortoises. But you can download a fact sheet to go along with this week's programme. Just click on the green download button. And don't forget to click on the Tell Us What You Think button on the Junior Rangers homepage of the Longleat website. You can give us your ideas for next year's programmes. Well, I'm up in the safari park and I found the other tortoises. They live up by the trading post. They seem very fit and healthy and you can clearly see the growth rings on their shells, which probably means they aren't very old, but I'll take some notes and check with Darren. So, all I need to do now is weigh them, but...
There's only one problem, Darren. We're gonna need some bigger scales.
These are African spurred tortoises and they are the third largest type of tortoise in the world. They can grow up to 50 kilograms in weight and nearly 1 metre long. And so, big or small, tortoises are the most amazing animals. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Come back and join me and Annie for next week's show on the 17th of September.